Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are all well, despite the inclement weather. Good morning, Caroline. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Clarice. Good morning, all those that are joining us. I want to continue and pick up where we left off in relation to this really the most momentous moment in Jewish history and in world history, and that was the divine revelation, the giving of the Torah. And it's prefaced and preceded by Yisro, Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, who arrives on the scene, having heard about the epic exodus from Egypt and all the other remarkable events that Jewish people have experienced, the splitting of the sea, the battle with Amalek, the archenemy, the nemesis of the Jewish people. And he arrives on the scene, and he offers Moshe some advice in relation to the judicial structure and infrastructure and the system that was which was not being used, which was that Moshe was judging the people from the morning to the evening, and there were long lines of people waiting for his advice, waiting for his counsel, waiting for him to give judgment. And Yisro says that, this can't continue. You're going to novel tibble, you're surely going to wither away. You can't do it, Moshe. You have to set up, you have to delegate your responsibilities. Now, fascinating friends as it is, good morning, Rachel and Estelle, joining us. As fascinating as this portion, the beginning of the parsha, is relating to Yisro, the father-in-law, being like all good fathers-in-law and offering their sons-in-law unsolicited advice, we may wonder, why did this preface the giving of the Torah? Secondly, when it comes to the name of the parsha, that really is an accolade, especially when we're speaking about the divine revelation, that I think that is one of the great honors bestowed on any person or individual. So why is it that we name this portion over Yisro? Yisro was a non-Jew. He was the father-in-law of Moses. Wouldn't it be more appropriate, Estelle, to have named the parsha, which discusses about divine revelation, the giving of the Torah, to have named it after Moshe? After all, Moshe was the conduit for the giving of the Torah. And I want to make a couple of points that I think will help us have a fresh perspective with it, vis-a-vis the giving of the Torah, and as well as our relationship with our faith and with the Torah as a whole. And that is as follows: that Yisro came and offered unsolicited advice. He was being critical of Moshe at the end of the day by suggesting that you need to appoint judges to assist you, to delegate the responsibilities. In a sense, what Yisro was saying was that what you have established, the system that you have in place, Moshe, isn't working. The system is broke. So if that's all Yisro did, then that would just be criticism, and that would be perhaps unhelpful. But what Yisro does is he makes a constructive suggestion, a constructive criticism, we call it, in that he said, there is, I think, a better way for us to be able to operate, and perhaps, delegating and establishing judges and courts and sub-courts, then you're going to be able to have a more efficient, judicious system. Sometimes it can be difficult. The first thing for us to learn is sometimes it's difficult for us to see things in the right perspective. We're too close to the action. Our vision is blurred. We're seeing things out of perspective. And sometimes somebody from the outside who's more objective can see things in the right light of day. That's point number one, and that's what Yisro offered, the ability to be able to see things and for Moshe to take advice from somebody who was out of the picture. And perhaps this highlights the greatness of Moshe. Despite being the greatest of people, he was never afraid to take the advice and to listen to others, even though they were on a much lower level than he was. But the second point is that Yisro wasn't Jewish. Yisro didn't have any knowledge, and yet he found his pride and place amongst the Jewish people. And that in itself is something for us to take on board. That the Torah is not, and our faith is not for a select few to live in monasteries, to isolate themselves, alienate themselves, live a life of abstinence away from this world, but it is Asher b'chabanu mikol hamim nasa lanu es Toraso. He gave us his Torah, right? But it is our Torah, right? It is our Torah. Torah Seinu, we refer to it as. It's our Torah. In other words, every single person equally is worthy of the Torah, and it is equally accessible to each and every one of us. Now, that's not the mindset that we necessarily have, but that's the truth. It may be that different people can learn it, or as in any subject matter that they delve into, that they can understand it at different levels. But nonetheless, it is as much mine as yours. It is an heirloom, and it's been passed from generation to generation. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, if you can go that far back, you're very lucky, and your great-great-grandparents. Good morning, Carol and David. Good, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. I hope everyone's well and keeping warm in this rather cold conditions in London. So this is a critical lesson, a message for us. The parsha was called, the giving of the Torah was referred to as, the parsha was called Yisro, precisely to make this very point. And that is that the Torah is everyone's. In other words, anyone who wants to approach the Torah, you're Jewish, or you want to be part of our people, you equally can have a share in the Torah. And in fact, we have seen some of the greatest Jews have been from other faiths that have converted, like Rebbe Kiva, Onkelos, and the like, which have gone on to teach Torah and to inspire generation after generation. So Yisro was somebody, firstly, who taught the idea of constructive criticism, of delegation of roles and responsibilities, but most importantly, Yisro was somebody who came along and showed us that however far removed, wherever you start off in life, no one could be further away than Yisro. He was a Midianite priest, a high priest who was practicing pagan practices, and yet he completely transformed himself, his mindset, his lifestyle, made a paradigm shift, and he came and wanted to be a part of the Jewish people and to come under the divine presence. And as a result, he had the lofty privilege and title of the very giving of the Torah in this week's parsha being named in his merit, because he added to the Torah that portion which shows us that everyone can contribute and everyone's opinion is valid. So that is an important lesson for us. One shouldn't think that I'm too old, I can't do it. In fact, I think it may have been Rebbe Kiva. I can't remember offhand, but it was certainly the story in the Talmud is of somebody who one of the rabbis approached him, who was a fisherman, and he said to him, why is it that you don't learn the Torah? Why is it that you're not practicing your faith? And he said, oh, it's far too complicated for me. I'm not a scholar, I'm a simple fisherman. So the rabbi said to him, so tell me, how do you catch fish? So he says it's very simple. We go out to sea, we have to find the exact right place, where the fish are, where the shoal are, and then we cast our nets. Days before this, we have to sit, we have to make the nets, we have to make them in a certain way, with certain knots, and so on and so forth. And he went on for 20 minutes to tell the rabbi about the intricacies of how to make the nets, how to position the boat in the right place, and how to ensure that you catch the fish. And the rabbi says, well, listen, I have no idea how to do that, and I don't think I could do that. So if you can do that, you can certainly do this. And that's really an important mindset, a lesson for us all. That if we want to, if we genuinely want to, we put our minds to it, there is untold possibilities, infinite possibilities and potential for each and every one of us to further our knowledge, our faith, our connection with our people and with the Torah. Please God, we should be able to take on board the lesson and inspiration of Yisro, and in that way we will all be able to find our own place and position in our people and in the Torah. Wishing everyone well. Have a great day. Lovely to see you. Keep warm.